You are a seating error in a $5,000 suit, and frankly, you're breathing the oxygen intended for someone of actual consequence. Stand up before I have you vacuum sealed in the cargo hold." Sloane Sterling didn't just speak. She projected her entitlement like a physical barrier. She stood in the center of the classic first-class cabin, an environment of absolute aviation luxury. Deep mahogany partitions, hand-stitched cream leather, and a massive, tiered crystal chandelier recessed into the ceiling that turned every champagne bubble into a diamond. Sloane stood with her arms crossed, her hands completely empty of any devices, staring down at the woman in seat 1A. The woman was Zuri Vane, a woman with deeply pigmented mahogany skin and a quiet authority that seemed to make the pressurized cabin feel like a palace. She was dressed in a shimmering emerald silk trouser suit, new outfit. "I believe there's been a misunderstanding," Zuri said, her voice a low, melodic resonance that cut through the cabin's hum. "This is my assigned seat, my boarding pass. Your boarding pass is a clerical error, or perhaps a very ambitious forgery." The flight attendant, Elena, interrupted. Her voice rose in a calculated escalation of disdain as she stood flanking Sloane. "Look at this cabin. Look at the people in it. Do you see anyone else here who looks like they've spent their life waiting for things? You're a loiterer in a premium zip code. Move, now." The cabin didn't fall silent. It filled with the sharp, jagged laughter of the surrounding elite. A man in a navy blue cashmere blazer leaned out from his mahogany suite, smirking at Zuri with clinical, high society disdain. "Honestly, Elena," the man laughed, swirling a glass of vintage cognac, "she's very committed to the role. Assigned seat. Maybe she's the new upholstery inspector? Someone should tell her that first class is for the architects of the world, not the inhabitants of the shadows." The woman across the aisle joined in, pointing a manicured finger at Zuri's emerald suit. "I'll give her $100 to go assist the flight attendants with the trash. She looks like she's built for heavy lifting anyway. Go on, Elena. Clear the aisle before the real passengers get restless." 12 people in the background were ostensibly minding their business, adjusting their silk eye masks or reading leather-bound books, but 8 others were acting as active witnesses, leaning into the aisle to catch every second of the humiliation with judgmental grins. Elena, the flight attendant, emboldened by the social jury, took the escalation to its peak. In a moment of raw, unposed physical aggression, she didn't just shout. She delivered a sharp, stinging slap across Zuri's face, the sound echoing off the mahogany walls like a gunshot. "Thanks for the support. We couldn't do this without you. Subscribe for free to help us keep bringing you more stories. Where are you watching from? Drop your city and country in the comments. Now, back to the story." "I said move," Elena hissed, her face twisted in a mask of vicious mockery as she gestured for Sloane to take the seat. "Security, get this loiterer back to the terminal where she belongs." The laughter in the cabin was a physical weight. Zuri didn't cry. She didn't scream. She slowly stood up, smoothing her emerald silk suit, her eyes meeting Elena's with a coldness that caused the cabin's artificial warmth to vanish. "You've spent your life thinking a high-tier ticket makes you the master of the sky," Zuri whispered, the coldness in her tone causing the witnesses' laughter to die instantly. "But you forgot that the sky is a commodity, and I am the one who owns the supply. You didn't just slap a passenger, Elena. You just assaulted the woman whose name is on the tail of this aircraft. I am Zuri Vane, and as of this second, I've decided to ground your entire career." The echo of the slap seemed to vibrate through the $100 million airframe, settling into a silence so heavy it felt like the cabin had lost pressure. Elena, the flight attendant, stood with her palm still pink from the impact, a smirk of triumph frozen on her face. She expected Zuri to break, to sob, to plead, or to be dragged away in handcuffs. Instead, Zuri Vane stood perfectly still, her deeply pigmented mahogany skin radiant under the glow of the massive, tiered crystal chandelier. She slowly turned her head back to center, smoothing the lapel of her emerald silk trouser suit with a steady hand. "Captain Miller," Zuri said, her voice not a scream, but a melodic, lethal resonance that bypassed the flight attendant and struck the cockpit door. The door hissed open instantly. The chief pilot stepped out, his uniform crisp, but his face turning a ghostly shade of gray the moment his eyes landed on Zuri. He didn't look at the socialite in the seat or the flight attendant with the raised hand. He snapped into a rigid, trembling salute. "Ms. Vane," the captain stammered, his voice caught in a structural failure of terror. We were not informed of a founder's audit on this tail number. My apologies, ma'am." The 8 witnesses who had been howling with laughter a moment ago suddenly choked. The man in the navy blue cashmere blazer dropped his glass of vintage cognac, the amber liquid soaking into the cream leather. The woman across the aisle, who had offered $100 for Zuri to assist with the trash, pulled her silk eye mask down so fast it snapped, her hands beginning to shake. "Captain," Zuri said, her eyes locked onto Elena, who was now trembling so violently her serving tray rattled. "This employee just informed me that I am a seating error and a loiterer." She then decided to physically enforce her disdain. "Tell me, what is the standard protocol for an unprovoked assault on the chairperson of the board?" "It is immediate termination, the forfeiture of all pension assets under the gross misconduct clause, and a permanent federal blacklisting from all Vane global partners," the captain recited, his voice shaking.
"No," Elena shrieked, her voice hitting a pathetic, desperate pitch. "I didn't know. I was just trying to keep the cabin elite for Miss Sterling. She told me this woman didn't belong here." Zuri turned her gaze to Sloane Sterling, who was shrinking into the mahogany shadows of seat 1A. "Miss Sterling, you were quite vocal about the oxygen I was wasting. You felt my presence was a clerical error. It's funny you mention errors because I just recalled the Sterling Group's exclusive fuel subsidy contract with my refinery. It's a $400 million annual savings for your father's company." Zuri pulled a small gold-edged card from her pocket, the only thing she carried. "Consider that contract void as of this second. I don't do business with architects who can't handle the sight of the woman who built the world they play in. You can't do that." Sloane gasped, her entitlement finally replaced by raw panic. "That will bankrupt our logistics wing." "Then I suggest you start walking," Zuri replied. "Captain, I want this cabin cleared. Every passenger who participated in the mockery of a fellow traveler is to be downgraded to economy. Strip their diamond credentials. If they want to experience luxury, they can look at the brochure from the back of the plane. As for Elena, have the air marshals meet us at the gate. I want her escorted off this aircraft in zip ties. She is never to step foot on a Vane global property again, not even as a janitor." The 20 people in the cabin watched in terrified awe as the power shifted. The 12 who had been minding their business sat in stone-cold silence, grateful they hadn't joined the chorus. The 8 witnesses were ushered out of their mahogany suites by security, their faces masks of deep, irreversible regret as they were marched toward the back of the plane. Lydia was dragged from the seat, her expensive heels dragging on the carpet, while Zuri calmly sat down in seat 1A. She didn't need a tablet or a phone to exert her will. The entire world was her motherboard, and she had just deleted every enemy in the room.